In the words of every, I'm hurt, dog. Don't ask me if I'm all right. Ah, Waddle. Ladies and gentlemen, we back at it again. Your host Dash Deuces. But just when I thought that the Miami Dolphins couldn't let me down anymore, here we are again. Today, we released our our number one receiver, Jaylen Waddle. Now I'm not gonna lie, it hurt. That one cut deep. I felt like by us signing Malik Willis, I'm like, you know what? Maybe they're not trying to tank. Maybe they're trying to compete. And then we let him go. And for the first few hours, I was a fan. I was hurt. Why did we do this? That was so stupid and things like that. But now, after I had a drink on it, sat back, thought about it a little bit, I understand. It's clear. A lot of a lot of Miami fans are not gonna like me saying this, but we always said we need to fire everybody. Start from ground zero. This right here is what ground zero looks like, ladies and gentlemen. This is ground zero. Front office, coach, key players. What this new office, front office showed me is that they want nothing to do with the previous roster. Nothing to do with the past Miami Dolphins. They said that this is going to be a new team, and that whole soft everything. I mean, I'm not saying that Waddle was soft. Waddle was a good player. But once again, I'm going to call a spade a spade. Yes, he's a number one receiver, but there's a lot of teams that if he goes there, he's he's gonna be a one B at best. And I'm not saying that to hate on Waddle because I really hope that I was hoping that he stayed with us because for one, I felt as though that with a quarterback, finally having a quarterback who's not going to limit him and be able to extend those plays for him to get open to make those catches, I felt like we were going to see the first 2, 3 year Waddle, that dog. And now we would never know. I have a feeling, a strong feeling, that we're going to see that over in Denver. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. But me trying to think of it as the glass half full, we got a first round pick and a third for a guy who, I'm sorry, but I got tired of seeing Waddle sitting out a couple of plays because he's hurt. I understand it's a physical game. I am going to miss Waddle. Now, don't, I am. But we need that physical player. And we didn't have that at first. We only had moments of it. And now I thought that we were going to tank for Archie. This move says we believe in Malik Willis. We're going to keep Malik Willis. But hey Jeremiah Smith, we saw that video you did a couple of years ago saying that you wish and you want to speak it to existence that you get drafted by your home team. It's looking pretty damn close to that you will be a Miami Dolphin, because we already had the over and unders of what Miami winning 4.5 games. You might want to pick the under on that one. And with that being said, Jeremiah Smith, I always felt as though that he would be the number one non-quarterback taken in next year's draft, and we are lining up for him. Now, that's just my piece on the whole Waddle thing. Let me just move forward and look past that. We gotta move on, ladies and gents. We've always seen us rebuild. Like, I've been a Miami fan for all my life, and that's all we've ever done outside of even with Marino. Like, we just always rebuilt. It's always a rebuilding year, and we never have anything to show for it. This is what a true rebuild looks like. You get rid of your favorite players to create that cap space that's much needed, that our previous GM, the hell that he put us in, signing flashy names for us to be excited in March but disappointed towards end of the season. Now you're going to have to build. You're going to have to bring in those guys and draft them and build that culture the right way. This is the growing pains. Now, speaking of draft, do I change my mind from the previous video of saying that my number one pick that I hope we get is Francis Mariota? No, I still want him. He's still number one on my board. I'm a little worried that we might address a receiver in the first. I hope we don't. Yeah, we lost our number one receiver, but hopefully the board don't fall that way, that's a must, because there are some good receivers. I want to say about beginning of last football season, I was watching Tennessee college football, that is Tennessee Volunteers, and there was this guy who stood out to me, Chris Brazzell. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, but he had multiple games in the SEC that he flashed. And I made a tweet about it saying, hey, with plays like that, I just want to say this now, welcome to Miami. However, you won't be coming with that number 17, because he was number 17 with Tennessee. And now 17 is open. So with us getting rid of Waddle, we trade Waddle to the Denver Broncos for a first-round pick, which is pick 30, and a third-round pick. I'm not really addressing the fourth-round pick because that's just a pick swap, and that pick swap is more so in the Broncos' favor. I think now the Broncos moved up about 19 spots in the fourth round. So you trade Jaylen Waddle for a first and a third. I do hope that I wish that it would have been more, but like I said, we're calling a spade. I think Sean Payton over at Denver will unlock that potential, and it's only time would tell. But yeah, we get him for a first and a third. However, I do hope that we did have a pick for next year, because that's supposed to be the creme de la creme draft of them all. is the 2027 draft, but beggars can't be choosers, I guess. Another thing that has me worried is I'm worried for Achan. Are like Achan is like what's next? Because now that teams in the NFL see that we finally gave up Waddle, and they've been talking about Waddle even ever since last year about trying to give him up, and what's the cost. And now we saw what the costs were for Waddle. You know, teams is hitting up Miami for Achan. My worry is if a team try to offer us a first for Achan, is he gone? The fan in me says I hope not, but like I say, I understand. This is a rebuild, and this is what we all wanted. This is what a rebuild looks like. Um, he he is coming off of that rookie contract next year, and he's going to be owed a lot of money because of the year he had last year. So he's going to get a pretty penny. Are we going to build around him, or are we going to let him go with the rest of the McDaniel failures? So that's one thing to look forward into. Some people say, "Why now?" I got a couple of calls, texts, things like that saying, "Why let go of Waddle now?" Well, you let go of Waddle now because, if I'm not mistaken, Friday, this upcoming Friday, I'm recording this right now on a Tuesday, the day of the trade. If you, if there was a contract he was owed $15 million, quote unquote. It could be a little bit more, a little bit less, rounded up to 15, around 15 million. $15 million was going to be due to him Friday, and that would have went against our cap. So saves us some more money. Now, mind you, that is not a lot of money dealing with a receiver. You know how this receiver market is looking at. That was a good contract, but you get rid of him before you have to pay him $15 million. That goes against the cap. So you let go of him. Do you address a receiver in the first round with your pick 30? I mean, I hope not. I think you can still stand your ground. Because we have so many holes now to fill. Like, wide receiver was already a hole to fill in this year's draft, but it wasn't a pressing need. A lot of people were mocking for you to get a receiver in like the third round. We had 3 picks in the third round. 3. So you can get a receiver there. But I hope he stick with now with Waddle being gone. I wouldn't mind you going receiver. However, if you do go receiver, let's not get a receiver with pick 11. Let's just stay our course. Get the guy that we were going to get before, whoever we were going to get, however the board may fall to us. Let's get this guy. I'm still pounding the table for Francis, but or a defensive player that like a Caleb Downs if he was a fall to us, Sonny Styles, guys who I don't think that's going to make it outside of the top 10 of the draft, but guys like that. Then third round, I mean not third round, 30th pick, I see a lot of you get your corner, a Colton Hood. I'm really looking forward to see Tennessee's pro day coming up soon because Gerard McCoy is going to finally show that he rehab from his injury. But then also we'll see a Colton Hood pro day. He did extremely well, not extremely, but he did pretty good his college season, his final college season. And there's buzz going circling around that he will be a late first round, but a first round pick, early second. So you can grab somebody like him. If we get him, he's definitely going to be our cornerback one. Um, Last episode I talked about if there's out of all the free agents that we let go of, if there is a player that I hope that the Miami Dolphin can retain and re-sign, will be Rasul Douglas. I still stand on that, and I would still go a Colton Hood or a Chris Johnson from San Diego State. Those guys are in play now. We have that second, you know, first round pick. That's pretty big. It's still going to be a rough year. Um, we're still going to go through growing pains, but it had to happen. I felt as though it was going to be between Waddle or Achan, and it turned out to be Waddle. Hopefully not Waddle and Achan, but we'll see. Time will tell. Um, but now that I'm thinking about it, I think he knew that he was going to Denver. There was an article that came out that said that you know it was an article interview, excuse me, an interview came out and it went viral. Somebody asked Waddle if he could fight any player in the NFL, who would you fight? And he said, out of all the players, first name that came out was Pat Surtain. Now, and a lot of people thought, oh, because they're boys, or did they have beef in college because they both came from Alabama and whatnot? Yeah, that's his boys, but I first I, now I'm thinking, yeah, that name not only is that your boy, but that name came out first because you already knew what was in the works, that you were on your way over there. So congratulations to Waddle. I hope he does well. Just not well against us, but it is what it is. It's a business. And Miami fans, we've always been saying that we need to rebuild. We need to start fresh. Um, and this is what it looks like. This is the face of it. Well, like I said, here we are. Thank you all that made it to this end part of the podcast of this show. I appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button. We do have more content coming out soon. And once again, thank you all. This is out.